when I started up, there was no startup craze that time, right? Tinder पे तभी भी वो businessman ही लिखते थे, and people will not swipe you right if you write entrepreneur. Today, if you put startup founder, you get a right swipe every time. साहब, अगर मैडम का प्लांट नहीं मरेगा तो वो खरीदेंगे नहीं फिर से. So, अच्छा है मर जाने दो. Let me not give you that knowledge to her, because if I tell her that it's an indoor plant, तो वो उसे अंदर ही रखेंगी और मरेगा नहीं फिर प्लांट. मैं उनको बताता हूँ कि आउटडोर है, तो वो 2 महीने में मर जाएगा और फिर आएंगी खरीदने. As of today, our vision is to bring nature in every home across the world. So 196 countries के हर घर में जब पौधा होगा, उस दिन we will shut down, put down our shutters. I'll retire and say my job is done.
Can you imagine Indians are buying thousands of plants every day from quick commerce now? 10 years ago, this was unheard of. Typically, going to a nursery was a very physical experience. You'll go to a place where they'll have a bunch of products. They'll tell you some prices that you might or might not trust, but you'll make peace because that's what's available and you'll come home. Nursery life from that point onwards to now has come a long way, to the point of tens of crores of revenue, heading to 100 as a milestone. Annu Grover, the founder, actually gifted a flower to his mother, and that's when he discovered that flowers die. So how about gifting a live plant? The journey started from live plant all the way to landscaping with some celebrities and a whole bunch of other models and pivots, including some real near-death experiences as a business as well as personal health scares. This journey tells us about Annu, his insights into the consumer mindset, his insights into how plant parenting has also become a concept in India alongside pet parenting, right, as a subject. So let's delve deeper into what Nurturing Green is up to, what their world looks like in terms of customer journeys, how education help with being a doctor to your plant can be a very powerful driver of deep customer relationships and long-term engagement. Thank you so much for joining us, Annu.
Thank you, Ankur. Pleasure to be here. Look forward to this.
Super. So I would, just start with the basics, right? 14 years ago, you were thinking of plants so seriously, and the context in which Nurturing Greens came alive. Just run us through a bit of that thought process.
This was summers of 2009, May exactly. I was studying in Austria. I just finished my master's there, and I started working. It was just 2 months into my management consulting, and I gifted my mom a bouquet. This was May 6th, and I couldn't call her the same day, fortunately, unfortunately. And I called her the next day, and when I called her, she said, "Beta, wo to fek diya. Rakhna tha kya?" And that's where the yo moment came in, that instead of gifting a bouquet, how about you gift a plant? And that's where our journey started, from a 22-year-old guy who thought that, can we change the industry of gifting, and why somebody gives a bouquet which dies, and how about the idea of something which works on and on. And that yo moment sort of made me come back. So I quit the job. That's my 2 months of experience. That's the only experience I have in my life as a work experience. So at 22, I was in India, and we started the idea of Nurturing Green with Gift a Plant. And then, of course, over the years, we went from gifting to home gardening to landscaping. And yes, it's been a lot of fulfilling journey. But that's where the yo moment came in, and that's how it all started.
Very interesting in terms of how it started and how it's come to be the last category. Would you be able to tell us the key milestones which you thought were like, those pivotal moments in which something suddenly dawned and the canvas changed?
Yeah, so the first thing, I'll give you some market size, because a lot of people have a misconception about it. Unko abhi bhi lagta hai that पौधे बेच रहे हैं. So my dad used to think when I started up, कि यार पौधे बेच रहा है तू, मतलब how much you can earn, 20,000-30,000 से ज़्यादा क्या होगा. So just in number matrix, so gifting of plants and bouquets is approximately somewhere around 10,000 crores. This number is still vague, and it goes going up, because people, if you include the gifting overall, then it's a much larger market. But just of gifting of bouquets and flowers and plants is 10,000. For the home gardening, it's somewhere around 26,000 crores, out of which 25,000 crores is still unorganized. So which means majority of the people still go to a local nursery and will buy. They will not buy from Amazon or D2C or from our retail stores. It's just like what Atta was in 1980s. I remember when I was a kid, I will take up the sack of wheat, go to the Chakki Piso wala place in Lucknow. I was born in there.
Yeah.
And today, if you ask my daughter, how do you get it? She'll say, I blink it and I get it from a pack which is in yellow color. It's an Ashirwad Atta, right? And if I tell her that I used to do it, and she will laugh saying, it's not possible. Probably it's some other universe. And I feel that's what is happening for plants also. Over the years, we have seen that people are shifting from unorganized to an organized behavior. So instead of going to a nursery, they're going to the website, or they're going to the store, or they're going to Blinkit. So 2-3 pivotal moments on how this all changed. The first was, of course, the Yo moment, where the gifting of plant as an idea came in. Second was when the insight came to me that 90% of the gifting decisions happens within 24 hours of the D-Day. So 90% of men on Valentine's Day think about gifting something on 13th morning. Which means that if you are able to deliver this within 24 hours, you have won the heart of the woman, and your brand keeps getting repeat every time. And if you do it in 2 days, which is on 15th, then you are killed, and so is your brand from where you ordered. Yeah. So we realized that gifting is a supply chain business than a catalog business. This was very early on. This was 2010 and 11. And we realized we didn't have money and whereabouts to do 100 cities in India and deliver the same day or the next day. So we left that and we ventured into home gardening, because that's where I realized that whenever there is nature around, it makes people happy. Right? Hamari anxiety kam hoti hai, we have less stress, and that's why you want to go to Juhu Beach. I mean, not you, but most of the people want to go to beach or to Himalayas or to Kasauli, because you want to get back to your normal sense, right? So with these metros where nature is getting extinct and buildings are taking over, especially Bombay, your need to have nature somewhere is getting bigger and bigger. And you want to bring it indoors or in your little balconies in Bombay. And that's the need we saw when we were looking at home gardening. I come from a background I come from a very middle class family in Lucknow. And when I was a kid, I used to see my parents doing gardening. So I think it's in my blood. I never got into gardening as a young kid. I like greens, but stayed away. दूर से अच्छी लगती है. I can't do that everyday gardening type of thing. This was my 20s, but we also started seeing the trend that people in 30s were getting into this, which is unheard of in the 1980s. Usually in people when they retire will get into gardening, right? So 50s is what you will see people getting into that. But if you today ask, there are people in 20s who are also getting into gardening, right? So they will have 2 plants or 1 plant or 3 plants on their desk. They want to try with it. They want to see how it works. So they're trying. So the Gen Zs are trying that. So, but anyway, so that was the second pivotal moment that we went into home gardening. Third came in which was a bad one. So it almost made our company go bust. It was a time when I said, yaar, ab bada sochte hain, gifting kar rahe hain, we're doing home gardening. Let's get into landscaping. So landscaping in India is a 80,000 crore category. In US, it's almost 1.5 lakh crores. In US, there are 4 brands who do 5 brands who do $2 billion in revenue listed into landscaping. So whatever you see outside, somebody has paid a price for in terms of plants, right? So if it's the highways, then Gattani ji has done it. Their national highway has done it. If it's corporates, you see it outside, the corporate has paid for. If it's on the terrace, then it's Ultra HNI who has put in. So there is nature, there is plant all around, and it's a huge, huge category. And we said, let's venture into that. So we did multiple corporates and HNIs. We did a couple there, Shanaz Hussain, Pranav Roy, Suresh Raina, Dhoni, Amitabh Bachchan's house. While we were doing all of this, we got too defocused because landscaping is a very personalized B2B sort of a transaction model. The lead times are higher. It takes 3-4 months to do a project. Ticket values are 10 lakhs to a crore and even higher. But it needs more personalized attention. Jaya ma'am will want to know कि मेरा नींबू क्यों नहीं आ रहा है. Say, with Shanazi, we want to match the colors of her choice. So a lot of personalization comes when you do these across, and even the product line changes. The decision making changes. Here we were selling 100 to 1,000 rupees plans, and now we are doing solutions things. So we did everything, and we were doing 10, 12 crores. Then it was 2016, 17, and we almost went bankrupt. It took bankrupt. It took almost 2-3 years of our life. Spent 3-4 crores doing all of it, and realized that this is not the right time to do in something. Of course, landscaping is something you should do it. But then we again went into the focus and said, Bhagwan ji bhi aa jayenge, to bhi change nahi karenge. Let's focus our energies on doing just gifting and home gardening, and keep doing it until we reach 100 crore sort of a run rate, and then again start landscaping sort of a division. So I think this was three big pivotal moments. I think one more I would want to talk about is, of course, it's in everybody's life. Some saw the boom and some sort of died, and this was COVID. This was March 2020. Modi ji comes at 8 p.m. and says, "Kal se sare malls and sab band hone wale hain." And to my utter surprise, at that time, 75% of our revenue was offline. So we were in malls across India.
Right.
And our plants were kept across 22 cities then. And within 4 hours, I had to think about how to take them out, because by the time lockdown opens up, plants will be dead.
Yeah. They don't
and we couldn't do anything, of course. And then all the plants, of course, died. Whatever we could have taken out. Then we thought, okay, 15 din bola hai to 15 din mein ho jayega. And every 15 day, Modi ji used to come and say, another 15 days of lockdown. And we were almost looking at bankruptcy in September. And this was August. Lockdown May mein khul gaya tha in 2020. But they never opened the malls and public places. So our revenue was still zero at that time from those. The salaries were on, and we were paying all our partners whatever we could. So we had sold everything and anything which I could have saved in my last 10, 12 years of journey. So mutual funds, stock market, ghar se leke jewelry tak, everything was sold to make sure at least we see another month. But by August, I was like, yaar, ho gaya, because ab to, I've also sold the jewelry and sold mutual funds and everything. Now there's nothing to be sold. Now I can't keep doing. So we let go a lot of people. And then by September, I was of the viewpoint that, okay, I'll shut it down by September end or October. Coincidentally, on 2nd September, Modi ji says that, okay, now you can start the malls. And we just survived and came back again.
Wow.
Again, 2021, this happened. I was like, yeah, life ne ek chance diya hai. Let me again try. Of course, had it opened up in September end, I would have anyway closed it. But if destiny wants to do something about it, let's not close it. Let's be perseverant. Let's give one more try. Now let's beg and borrow again what I used to do in 2010. So go out and raise money again, because now you have no money. And we were bootstrapped and we were profitable ever since. So we had made certain cash flows and free cash flows in the system. But then as life would have been, 2021 again, COVID came in April. And this time it was even harsher. I think everybody knows that Delta wave came in 2021. So this time was not about business, it's about us. So I got COVID. My oxygen went to 60. I was hospitalized for 15 days. I became 135 kgs, almost on the verge of seeing death. So तब तो ये clearly था कि बंदी है. Now तो with like at that time, Nurturing Green had never had money. This time, my mind never had that mindset to continue, because of the zindagi nahi hai. If I don't see tomorrow, पौधे क्या ही बेचेंगे? So let it be. So we were almost shut down in April again, because the whole of April, I was almost hospitalized, and I saw a few of my close ones, not there and there were so many deaths in our team. There were people whose parents, some of them sort of expired. So hard moment in life. But then May again it started, and here I am talking to you again, and we're doing almost 4 times of our revenue in 2019. We should get to our 100 crore benchmark soon, and again start landscaping. So yeah, I think life is good now, and these are something which change your moments.
Bunch of compelling stories of resilience. I think yours is clearly one of them, Anu. So thanks for sharing. It's inspiring in many ways. So this whole concept, I would have imagined COVID also gave a lot of people that time at home, the mental free space, and also that the whole need to be doing something beyond their work, right? Because you are not even changing your environment within that same four walls. What else can you do? And perhaps I would have imagined some bunch of people got into gardening back then. I don't know if it seemed like it didn't help you because you were not very active online back then. But what was the implication for the category in this time frame?
Yeah. So it says, right, that sometimes you're doing something and all your efforts are in vain until the markets are not in your favor, right? It's like, you're sailing a ship, but you don't move an inch if you're going against the tide, right? And that's what happened with COVID. COVID saw a lifetime sort of an incident, once in a lifetime sort of incident. Just to give you perspective, the amount of searches which happened in 2020 on indoor plants were more than what had happened in the last 10 years of our existence.
So, yeah.
घर पे जब लोग खाली थे तो या तो कुकिंग कर रहे थे या गार्डनिंग कर रहे थे. There is no other choice that people had. Correct. So the category, of course, yes. So the category grew at almost 30-35% CAGR for 2 years, and which was phenomenally high. Unfortunately, since we just had 25% of our revenue at that time coming for online, had it been a reverse, we probably would have been a 150-200 crore company till now, or even more. But while the online was scaling up and we never had, there was a time that we had some odd 100 people just doing packing. And we're like, koi bhi aa jayega, let's do the packing. Because there was no way we could sustain the orders which were coming from Amazon and the online world. But because our offline was just dead, it took us a lot of bandwidth because we were still anchored toward offline to manage the sustenance. So we had to let go the area managers and hire the online managers, or shift the skill sets across. So we not need a CCA, we needed a packer. And that shift was a bit painful for Nurturing Green. And for me also, because managing that all across remotely was a challenge. Today we are 100% work from home. We work from anywhere. Right now I'm almost in the hills, and I'm working there for last 30 days. And we are working from anywhere, all the teams, and everything is working fine. But that time we had not learned about doing all of this, and I was probably not a better leader, a better CEO, a better founder. And you learn as you go, and you learn from your mistakes. But yes, the category was just going gung-ho, and I never saw the amount of growth it brought in. I think that had COVID happened in 2012, we probably would have been a 500 crore company today. Because it changed the mindset of people, that... Yes, yes. So a lot of things in terms of the mindset of people change towards nature, right? Like suddenly you'll go to a middle class family and you'll see plants indoors. You'll see in your condominium and see outside. Pre-COVID, probably 10-20% balconies will have plants, and post-COVID, you will see more than 50% had plants across. So if you can see across the balconies, you'll see, now everybody has greens in their terrace, in their smaller balconies, in their bedrooms, wherever they can fit some part of nature, they started doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now, Anu, in terms of this as a passion project versus this as a business, when did that mental shift become clear that this can be a meaningfully large business opportunity?
See, when I started up, there was no startup craze that time, right? Tinder पे तभी भी वो businessman ही लिखते थे, and people will not swipe you right if you write entrepreneur. Today, if you put startup founder, you get a right swipe every time. Connect,
Yeah.
because it's becoming a cool thing to be an entrepreneur. But that time was hard. The tools were not there. The industry was not mature. There was no logistics. There was no Amazon. Flipkart just started at that time. So there was nothing in terms of, when I used to think of omni-channel, the omni-channel was only general trade and modern trade. There was no online as a
Right.
concept all across. So my journey, initial days, has been around cracking the PMF from the offline world. So looking at plants from a home decor perspective, or bringing nature indoors the way you see it on my background, like, do people want to do it or not? And one of the moment came was in somewhere around 2011, when we partnered with Home Center. So we said, yeah, where are our customers? Either they're going to a nursery, or they're going to a home decor areas. Right, so nurseries, no, समय हम जाना नहीं चाहते थे, because we were too small to even negotiate with them on any terms, and our product line was also not so good. It was still early days on the product. So we went to Home Center, and when we went to Home Center, we saw a drastic change in our revenue stream. Because when people were buying a sofa, or people were buying a dining table, they said, "चलो एक plant भी ले लेते हैं इसके साथ." So there was a lot of impulse purchases which started happening. Yeah, the mindset is different, right? When you're inside a home center and you're buying furniture, or you're buying home products, and then you see a nice green plant, you say, "Oh, let me just take 2 of them," right? So we saw a lot of upsell or a cross sell happen from a home center customers. So we said that's a great area. So we went into Home Stop, Home Center, Evoke, and all these home partners. So I think that's where I realized that was ये सिर्फ 2-3 लाख रुपए का बिजनेस नहीं है, और this can really can be built into at least a 500,000 crore sort of a business. I never thought and I never dreamt it to be a $1 billion revenue business, or making it a 3 billion. I knew it's a consumer business. My thought or my soch had only been at that time to look at doing 100 crore, 50 crore, 100 crore at that time. Of course, as we started reaching certain milestones, जब 10 crore पहुंचा तो हमने कहा यार अभी तो कुछ नहीं किया, तो 100 crore कर सकते हैं. Now that we are reaching 100 crore, we are saying यार 1000 crore तो है ही, मतलब maybe 1,000 crore my vision changes and say यार category is really large. Why are we just doing landscaping, and why not getting into something more greener and food? So I think as of today, our vision is to bring nature in every home across the world. So 196 countries के हर घर में जब पौधा होगा, उस दिन we will shut down, put down our shutters. I'll retire and say my job is done. Until then, we wake up every day, and every day I see and question myself, हर घर में nature है क्या? And if the answer is no, I get back to work and get into back to action to get it. Get more plants in every home.
But in very simple terms, are you creating the category, or are you leveraging the shift from offline to online? And now I assume your dominant part is online, right?
Yes. So our actually the most prominent part now is quick commerce, surprisingly.
Okay.
So I'll give you the answer for the first question. One, that are we shifting from an unorganized category to an organized? Absolutely, yes. So people like you and me will not want to go to a nursery. The whole experience of buying plants there is broken. The quality is not standardized. The after sales is not there. The sales pitch are wrong. You feel cheated. The pricing is not right. The variety is not there. So there are a lot of misses in the unorganized business. And if you're able to solve for that, in India, you will be able to shift from an unorganized to organized. Why we didn't do it early on?
Right.
It took me almost 10 years to realize that India is a value-based economy, which means that अगर customer को उनके price point पे उस channel में product नहीं दोगे, you will never find a product market fit. So I'll give you perspective of this. So when we launched quick commerce, the first thesis was that people want to give. So my thesis was that nobody wants plants in 10 minutes, and this will never sell off. हम time waste कर रहे हैं. Let's go back to opening more stores and or figuring it out Amazon, US, etc. Scaling up that. But when quick commerce happened, we went from 10, 20 pieces to 1,000 pieces within first 15, 20 days. So we were selling 1,000 pieces a day on quick commerce just in Delhi, just with one partner. And this was mind-boggling. On Valentine's Day in Delhi, we sold 10,000 pieces on one day in, I think, 3 hours because we were out of stock in most of the places. Had we been in stock, we could have sold 20, 25,000 pieces. But all this happened because we stuck two chords. One, that we made sure that we are talking to the audience with the right price points. And with that right price point, can you make the best product available in the market? So when we started, I said, I want to target to India 1. Right? And as Bloom and Karthik and everybody have talked about India 1 and India 2 and 3 markets, and everybody now talks about it. For me, India 1 is what we were earlier targeting. You know, anybody upward of 1.5 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupees in income monthly, and our pricing was starting at 699. So this means that you have a very beautiful plant, but in a ceramic pot, which India 2 can't even imagine of buying it. क्योंकि उनके लिए तो पहले रोटी कपड़ा और मकान पहले, right? In the Maslow's theory, if somebody is earning 50,000, the first thing he will buy is, of course, the basics. Plants will come much, much after that. Once he has a nice bed, a nice table, a nice car, is when he thinks about buying anything around that. So we said, यार ये तो चलेगा नहीं. And this was 2018-19. We said, यार अब आगे बढ़ नहीं रहे. So we were not going beyond 15, 20 crores, 25 crores in revenue. And we were like, क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? And then we researched and we find out that India 1 खत्म हो गया India में. At least हम नहीं पहुंच पा रहे हैं because it's so scattered, right? It's not easy to reach to India 1. So where do you find India 1, right? Is it in Mall of India? Is it in Palladium? Is it in Geo Center? Right? And how do I reach out to these people across? It's not scalable, right? And again, we were thinking online. So online se ja sakte hain. We can reach out to such audience. But we realized they're not buying plants. So nobody is buying a 20,000 plant online, looking at just the photo. So on a D2C. So it has to be offline. So while we were struggling with that, we realized, why don't we go and target India 2? And that's where we also hit a jackpot, because we realized India में value बिकता है. तो अगर real PMF लाना है, तो value लेके आओ customer के लिए and make a great product. So what happened with when MI came to India, they said लोगों को एक बहुत अच्छा smartphone चाहिए है with great features like iPhone, but 10,000 रुपए में चाहिए, right? And it scaled up, right? And not just that, anybody and everybody who came in that category sort of blasted up. Right? चाहे वो Vivo है, Oppo है, all of those, right? Same is what also happened in our category and is happening with a lot of our partners and a lot of brands. Ugao, a lot of our competition is doing great jobs there because we all have hit the chord saying, 99 to 499 पे अगर आप great quality nursery से अच्छा plant आप देते हो, तो people will end up buying for home decor and also for gifting. Now, इसमें if you bring the quick commerce ka filter, which is 10 minutes delivery, which is what back in 2010 I was not able to do, it again stuck the chord. Which means that 90, abhi kya ye data और बढ़ गया होगा. In 2011, this data was that 90% of the people decision happens within 24 hours of the D-Day. I think now that time will be like 30 minutes of the D-Day or 4 hours. Yeah, something like that. Right? People need it now. Like it's Father's Day and they say, oh, it's a Father's Day. Let me just go on Blinkit and order. Right? Or let me just go on Zepto and do it.
Yeah.
So there the impulse is happening, and if the price point is right and quality is right, I think we see that a lot of transactions are happening. So at this moment, we are doing somewhere around almost 3,500 pieces a day on quick commerce. We foresee this to go to 10,000 in by early next year. We're not even open in Bombay, in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Hyderabad, in East India. We're just in Delhi, NCR, and Bombay right now. So I think still early days for us, but that's where we realize is the PMF, the bigger PMF is coming in. So one, when Home Center came in, and now when quick commerce came in as a channel.
So, Anu, I would imagine two very clear lenses on growth. One lens is where there's a whole bunch of people buying a couple of your products. And then there is the other lens where you have a few people who've so obsessed with home gardening that they'll buy 20,000 things from you, right? From the plants to the manure to the parts to the equipment, the tooling, everything else. So is there a lens that you have in terms of how you look at this side versus this side? How does it contribute to your business?
So when we look at D2C, which is still a very small part of our business, it's easy to slice and dice the data and see, what is the repeat, what are people preferring, what are they buying? Is somebody who bought a plant is now buying a manure, or somebody who bought a manure now is buying a tool? All that data is possible, but when you look at the other sales channels, especially the offline and the GT markets and the modern trade and Amazon also for that matter, Amazon, you still get some data, but still it's not as deep a slice and dice as you want.
Sure.
So we realize, that's not a true picture of our real market size and our TG. So we started changing the matrix and stop looking at numbers which VCs get fascinated with. Because they look at from the lens of a D2C. But for us, practically right now, we're not just we are a D2C brand, but we're selling it through via different networks, right? So majority numbers now come from actually quick commerce and not from our D2C, our website. So which means that the bigger thing was that is our like-on-like growth happening or not on a product level? Is our store-on-store growth happening on a year-on-year or a quarter-on-quarter level? Is the cross-sell and upsell matrices which we have at our store in terms of, so we have incentive structures for our CCAs. So you say, अगर तूने plant बेचा, but अगर तूने उसे cross-sell भी किया, तो हम तुझे reward देंगे उसका. So we have different schemes. If you do a 10,000 billing, you have a different scheme and so on and so forth. So we track those to say that are people ending up buying different product lines or not, right? So if you came to a store in Palladium and then you bought a plant, our staff will try and sell you the stand also where you want to keep that plant, right? Or he says, sir, aapne kharida to hai, why don't you buy a plant food for all your plants, right? So you'll try to sell the plant the manure category. And that's how those matrices is what we follow more in terms of finding that is the cross-sell, upsell, or the cross categories happening or not. Having said that, there are two types of flux which is still happening. One is that, as you said, people are already a gardener, right? And they're crazy about it. They'll go to any length to buy. So we have a customer, let's say, she has a 2,500 square feet house, a normal upper middle class Gurgaon person. She has 300 plants from us. She has 300 plants, and it got us crazy and perplexed because 300 plants to mere ghar mein bhi nahi aate. Like there's no space to keep 300 plants in a 2,500 square feet house. So I went to her house to find that, and she had spent almost 12-15 lakh rupees on us in the last 4-5 years on our brand.
Right.
And everything when we entered was just nurturing green. So all plants, everything was nurturing green. She was living next to one of the mall stores we had in Gurgaon. So it was her hobby to go every weekend and shop for 10,000-15,000 rupees of plants for home. And when I talked to her husband, he said, you are the guy I should kill first because she spent so much money into buying your products and I have no space. Her kids were really grumpy and really complaining because the house doesn't have space to do anything except keeping plants. So we said, boss, there is this one audience which is really crazy about plants. Let's try and cross sell and upsell everything.
Sure.
So we created a lot of product lines where she keeps buying something or the other. That's one. Second was the newer people, right? So there are every year a lot of people who are in your joining the workforce or getting into the age where we feel they should get into gardening. So our target audience now starts from 25. Earlier it was 35, but while we rebranded ourselves, and earlier you will see our packaging to be brown, eco-friendly, thoda buddho ke liye lagegi, you know. So I like that packaging a lot. But when I talk to somebody who's young, you say, "Oh, this is too old. This is not good. I'll not use this." So we rebranded and realized that these are the people who are on Blinkit, who are ordering for gifts or for their self-consumption as home decor. So for these TG who has no idea about gardening, right? That's also we want to target, right? And that's a big audience per se. Reason being that majority of our audience was coming, the newer audience was coming, which was who had no idea about gardening, right? And we thought that's the malai, that's the cream we want to target, because if you go to a pro gardener, he will say, "मैं तो cutting से बना लूंगा." So that's why my mom is not my customer, my wife is, right? My mom always says, "यार तेरे बहुत महंगे product हैं, money plant तो मैं cutting से बना लेती हूँ." But my wife thinks it's the other way because she has no idea about gardening and she wants to decorate. It's her party or it's a gathering and she'll buy 30 of nurturing green plants for gifts or for setting up her drawing room and the entrance. And these types of audience had no idea about gardening. They want to decorate their home or they are the first entrance into this whole idea of gardening as a hobby. So we want to handhold them, and that's where we realize the margins are, right? So we can take them for the margins, and we use the other TG for repeat purchases and for cross sell and upselling, right? So yeah, that's how right now we are seeing the flux. But margins comes from the new age generation, the new gardeners. And the repeat comes from old gardeners or pro gardeners across.
Fair enough. If I may ask, how big is the catalog? And, is there a lens on using the catalog 100% on your own D2C platform, perhaps some bit to the offline side, because there's ultimately going to be a space limitation versus, there's a few fast moving products on quick commerce, which just get people introduced to the brand, but you'll not have 50 products over there. You'll probably have 5. How does the lens on catalog and distribution look like?
So if I look at the entire length and breadth of the catalog, we have more than 700 plus SKUs right now. But every channel has a different product mix based on the profiling of the customer. So for example, if you go to a home center, you will find India A plants also, which is priced, let's say, from 1,000 to 10,000. But if you go in the same mall to a Reliance Smart, you will only find India 2 plants, which is 99 to 499. We have nothing outside of 499, either in plants, planters, stands, anything. And because that's where the value customer comes in. So my mom goes to Reliance Smart and my wife will go to Home Center is what my perception of a TG is.
Perception. Personas.
Yeah. Personas, actually, yes. These are the personas we have built across. If you look at Amazon, of course, because of the logistic issues, we can't do floor plans and we can't do larger volume products there. So we'll do mostly anything and everything, but which is, let's say, less than 10 kgs in volume, and which is easy to ship across. And when it comes, as you said, to quick commerce, we have very limited catalog because space is a big issue. So we will do almost 10 SKUs at any given point of time, max. So anything from 5 to 10. Again, this is mostly for the first use case which we are experimenting right now is gifting. Now that they are seeing success, they are saying, why don't we do gardening there? So just like having a pet store on Blinkit or Zepto,
Right.
now the idea of having a plant store is also coming in. So you can buy anything and everything outside around of plants. Right now, you can only buy plants for gifting or very limited assortments because it's a very tough category to manage in terms of the perishability and how the supply chain of quick commerce works. So, but then we realized that every channel has a different product mix to play. Every region has a different product mix to play. So what sells in Bombay doesn't sells in Delhi, and what sells in Delhi doesn't primarily sells in Bangalore. Of course, there are one or two products which are like selling everywhere and are the best sellers. But let's say in Bombay, there are no balconies per se. I mean, usually there are no larger balcony. You will have a 20, 30 square feet balconies, which is an extension, which is like a windowsill and not a balcony per se. But if you go to a Gurgaon, usually even a normal or a Noida, even a crore rupees house will have a decent, 60, 70, 80 square feet of balcony. Versus if you go to a Bangalore, they will have large spaces also for plants to come in because they love nature. They want to work in outdoors. So the nature is much more integrated in the life of people in Bangalore, let's say, than in Bombay and then in Noida. So the product mix again changes. We will sell a floor plant in Bangalore much better than what we sell in Bombay, let's say.
So now coming to the core topic of how we look at the whole lens, and the reason I was asking you the whole product mix question and the channel question was because ultimately we've seen people see a lot of merit in consolidating the brand experience, right? So I'm assuming there's a lot of education at play when it comes to plant parenting because everybody who's new to gardening will need guidance on even the basics, right? I don't even know how many times to water my plant for all I can. Different plants apparently need different frequency. And for somebody even just who's new to the subject, will need time to adapt and figure those things out. So I would imagine there's a lot of room for having a very ongoing kind of conversation with people who are growing into this category, because from the first time I got one plant and the time that I actually took the whole journey, there's a lot of things I would probably have to ask. And if you are the people I'm asking that question to, you'll also probably be the people I'll buy a lot more from. The whole lens on customer lifetime value, we work in the digital ecosystem, which means to acquire customers, it costs some money. Whichever channel you do this from, whether it's a Blinkit or an Amazon, it's going to cost you a certain amount of reference fees, a certain amount of logistics cost. It might be a great channel to get discovered by new customers, but sooner or later, you'll want people to know that this is nurturing greens. You will want people to have a direct relationship with the brand. It could be just a communication-based relationship, or it could be a commerce relationship. But you will want to make sure everybody is in touch with you directly in some fashion. So I'm curious if that's a conscious thought that you apply, because you did mention D2C is still a small part of your play from a commerce lens, because it's probably how it's designed to be, or it's probably how it's happened to be. So I'm curious, how does this whole D2C mindset, at least from a communication lens, if not from a commerce lens, how does it play in your world?
So absolutely. So for us, around last year, early Jan, we decided that we want to build D2C as not our sales channel, but our marketing channel. And having said that, what you said is the biggest problem of our industry. Two statements. One, Annu, plants kharidte hain, wo to mar jate hain, right? Second, I don't know how to take care of a plant. Right. So we realized, and our objective was that customer ka plant nahi marna chahiye. Right. Now, what do we do ki customer ka plant nahi marna chahiye? And there are reverse conversation or thought process in this. So if you go to a nursery or an unorganized guy, he will say, "Sahab, agar madam ka plant nahi marega, to wo kharidenge nahi fir se." So, अच्छा है मर जाने दो. Let me not give you that knowledge to her, because if I tell her that it's an indoor plant, तो वो उसे अंदर ही रखेंगी और मरेगा नहीं फिर प्लांट. मैं उनको बताता हूँ ये आउटडोर है, तो वो 2 महीने में मर जाएगा और फिर वो फिर आएंगी खरीदने. But our objective is that if Ankur bought a plant, वो plant नहीं मरना चाहिए. Now, of course, a valid question from every business guy that was, Annu, अगर Ankur का plant ही नहीं मरा, why will he buy again? And I say that अगर उसका plant नहीं मरा, then he'll buy more. So if Ankur got,
it's not so obvious probably.
Yeah, but it's I think it's a perspective thing. Some might say as a different thing, and we see it very differently. So our objective became in early Jan last year was, यार जितने भी हम plant बेच रहे हैं, जितने भी channels है, plant नहीं मरना चाहिए. And that became a problem statement. How do we sort for this? Actually, this started conversation around COVID. But then, of course, we were doing much other things and bigger problems to sort at Nurturing Green. So we said, isko bhi park karte hain. But we will come back to this problem as we get a bit more stabilized in our system. And last year, we started thinking about what do we do to make sure that logo ka plant na mare. Because agar wo nahi mara, then they will start doing the word of mouth. And as you said, the LTV of the customer will go up, right? Because he'll buy more plants and then he'll buy accessories for that plant and then he'll buy a planter for that plant. Now, and gardening tools and everything, right? Now, to get to that level, India mein logo ko plants ke bare mein zero knowledge hai, right? Our parents will know it, but you will not know it, right? In all probability. Which means that the biggest thing we can do for our customers to do is to educate them, right? So we said, kaise educate kare? So we launched a channel called My Plant, My Baby on YouTube, where we have these lot of videos where we talk about how to take care of the plants, etc., etc. But then while we were thinking, we said, yaar, can we dream of having a personalized plant doctor for Ankur? Which means that Ankur talks to it and some face or something comes in terms of content and tell exactly कि ये problem है. अब ये कर लो. अब nurturing green का ये manure डाल दो, इससे ये ठीक हो जाए. अच्छा येलो हो रही है. आपने इसमें बहुत ज्यादा पानी डाल दिया है. Stop watering and put this now, and it will be better. So can we have this personalized thing? Okay. And that's where we started looking into these ideas of AI and WhatsApp. Of course, we started looking at a lot of CRM tools also. But we realized that हमारा बहुत सारा जो repeat purchase वाला audience है, उसको email और notifications इतना important नहीं है जितना वो WhatsApp पे comfortable है. So let's say my mom knows how to operate a WhatsApp, but she doesn't know how to work on Amazon or order online, right? And so my sister, she is she's a doctor, she's very educated, but she says I can't order online. Right? I'll go to a store and buy. And she is 45, 48, let's say. But then there are behaviors and there are customers in our cohort. We realized that they're comfortable with WhatsApp, but they were not comfortable with any other CRM tools. And they didn't order looking at email, let's say, for that matter. So we realized, can we create a personalized journey on WhatsApp? If, let's say, Ankur bought a plant and I now start integrating with you there. So you get a personalized message from Annu, who is the founder of Nurturing Green, saying, welcome to a plant parenting journey. Since you're in Bombay, there's a lot of humidity around. Make sure that you don't put your plant, indoor plant outdoor, let's say. Or it's raining too heavily right now, and we know through a monsoon app that it's raining right now in Bombay. So you get a message that your cacti is not doing good outside. Don't take him for a walk. Just keep it inside. So just like a parent journey is, right? When you have a kid, the doctor tells you how to hold your kid, what food to give. Because I knew when Nisa was born, she's my daughter, she's 5 years. When she was born, I knew nothing about parenting, right? मुझे ये भी नहीं पता था उसको गले पे उसकी उस समय I have to hold because I was holding there and her neck was going down, and then doctor said you should hold it from there. And that's where I realized that the same parenting is required when you do buy a plant or you buy a pet, right? I think buying a pet, having a kid, or having a plant has a similar parenting journey. And we realize if we can customize it for people, personalize it for people, and make sure unka plant nahi marta hai, then we have win the customer forever, right? Then they will not buy anything on gardening from any other brand or from nursery forever. And that has been in our mind. That's my dream project, which we are right now working on. That can we use AI? Can we use WhatsApp? And can we have a personalized journey where every time Annu comes and we send you a very personalized notifications on making sure that your plant parenting journey is good. So if I can connect with your calendar and I know that Ankur is traveling for next 12 days, I message you a video on how to save your plants if you're traveling abroad. Right. And you get a personalized message and you buy those elements and put it in your plant so your plant doesn't die. I give you hacks and tricks and hacks on how to take care of a plant if it's extreme summers, like it was in Delhi. Right, 52 degrees pahunch gaya, all the plants died. What did I tell you? Can I have a personalized messaging on you? And I make like, if you see a journey of yours, if you have a bit more, if you are a plant parent, आप घर पे बोलते हो कि माली होगा, and you will tell your Mali, yaar, dekh lena, plants pani nahi de rahe hain ki nahi de rahe. So it's like making your personalized Mali basically, right? Through WhatsApp and through that communication. And this is what we have been trying to still get our hold on. Can we have personalized video through reface.ai? Can those be uploaded? So while you purchase from Blinkit, I don't know where you purchase from. But what if I tell you that on the box, we have a lifetime warranty now? So we have started this whole thing 6 months back where we're saying that we have a lifetime warranty on plants. So in next 100, 200, 300 years, maybe your kid comes and if he brings the plant and saying कि ये plant papa ने खरीदा था मर गया है, we will change it, no question asked, at a 50% of the cost. So it's a lifetime warranty is what we are trying. And we are saying, if you want to subscribe it, you have to go on WhatsApp and get it there. So that's a hook to get people on. It's fabulous. So we talked to a lot of our partners and a lot of people who have been doing QR scans. And they're saying, yeah, this is a useless service. Point 1, point 2 is what usually you see the scans happening. But our data is phenomenally high. We have done a very small pocket still. All our packaging hasn't yet got that. But we were experimenting that will people scan that or not? And the numbers are actually in double digits, which I have never heard of. Like the maximum I've heard of is
that's what it's usually 1.5%. Not very common.
Yeah.
Most brands lack a purpose of why, as a consumer, I should engage with them. I mean, an FMCG packet of biscuits will send me to their YouTube. Now, I don't need to see your ads, so why am I doing this? In your case, if it's a more constant education / communication, there's a lot more merit because if I'm doing it for the second or third time, I'm probably somebody who cares about the subject. And if I do, I would want to be better educated. So I think it's just a more natural fit with the category.
Absolutely. So we realized this was a natural fit for the category. If I bring the sales in it, it just crashes everything. So a lot of my sales team has been pushing me, let's do a sale that 30% off on our thing. Now Amazon sale is going on. I said, if you bring this, you have broken the trust of the consumer and he will archive you just like a lot of people are archiving, a lot of brands on WhatsApp. Right. Yeah. So, and you will never connect again with them.
Abused to the channel.
It's been massively abused right now. I mean, at one point it was SMS, then it was email, and then now it's WhatsApp. And now I think every brand wants to try it out. And for a consumer perspective, I'm getting spam because it's also my personalized, it's more personal than email for me. Right. So we were very clear that we don't want to shoot.
But you've taken a brand call to not become abusive of the channel, as I understand.
Yes. So it's still early days for us. We are very clear that what come may, we will not use promotional mails there. We will not put promotional messages or anything around sales. There's nothing around sales. Like this podcast is not about WebEngage. This is about customer experience and letting knowledge transfer from one person and one point to other so that people learn from there. And similarly for us, we were clear that, and I think that's getting so famous, being Nitin doing it or Shantanu from Bombay Shaving doing it, a lot of people doing it because when you educate people or help people get better, you yourself directly, indirectly get promoted, right? So if we can make you a better gardener, we know that people are conscious that they're reading a Nurturing Green channel, right? So the message is coming from Nurturing Green. So they will go and explore on Amazon or our website what's happening and what is the new products which are getting launched there.
So, in my simple understanding, while of course pushing hard sales can be messy, and most people kill that bird that lays the golden eggs, in my impression, if it's used effectively, it can be a very powerful channel of engaging with a very large community of plant parents who want to do more, who have the appetite to do more with your brand. It's a question of appropriately nurturing that relationship. And that's where the level of personalization you're talking about in terms of understanding from one in my travel plans to second in my plant portfolio and what needs what kind of care. I thought it was, you or one of your competitors who actually released a video on which plant needs watering how often. I mean, our habit is like everyday morning just water, right? We don't apply much mind to it. But turns out
Yes.
it's not a good idea for a whole lot of plants. So from my
Yes.
lens, even if I have to have, I don't know if you guys are planning on an app experience in near term or not, but if you're saying that you're going to visually recognize a problem and tell me what to fix, if I'm not doing it myself, I'll have a person do it for me. I'm just feeling smart about knowing what I need to do. So that way, the relationships gets deeper and deeper. And while
Yes.
of
So
course not everybody would have the 15 lakh mindset to buy as many plants, but I definitely would have a fair bit of energy. And you have a 5-year-old you mentioned, and to me, if there's anything that can take them away from screens to something which is more natural, and they have a sense of ownership. And I remember getting a return gift of a couple of plants last month, right? So from a kid's birthday party, they've got a bunch of those ogao plant pots, and they look perfectly nice, and they're in a big container, so well packed for ventilation and all of that. So I'm guessing you do the similar things, but it's just something which I think if they start caring for it as their baby, so to speak, the whole lens on parenting with a plant, it just becomes a very interesting experience. So, from my lens, this whole lens on communication being effective can become a very powerful driver of very, very long term relationships, right? Because I at least have another 20, 30 years of continuing to buying more and more plants. Wherever I go, whichever city I live in, whichever house I'm in I would want more nature around me.
true. Bang on. I think this is what I would have said. Exactly the same points, right? So yeah, that's what happening.
So, on one side, conceptually, this all sounds great. But on the other side, the amount of SKUs and the amount of nuances you're dealing with, because you're talking about 700 products and you're talking about all of them having their own, let's say, nuances in terms of how they need to be treated, how they need to be watered, what kind of manure frequency, what kind of manure to plug in, to pluck or not to pluck, to snip or not to snip. There's a whole amount of nuance that gets involved, which I mean, I don't know if it'll be effective to just put up 100 videos on the website because nobody has the patience to navigate those, which means you have to tell me what matters to me and not what is not important to me. So, how are you looking at organizing all of this data? Because, I mean, for different categories and different companies, different challenges exist. And I would see this resonating with a few people as well. So, okay, I have a lot of products and I need to tailor the experience of each consumer a little differently. What's your current lens on organizing this data and this communication flow?
So for last 2 3 years, our objective was on creating this content. And as you said, right now, my agenda and my marketing head, we've been discussing the same stuff that how do we make now this content more personalized? Nobody has a time to go on YouTube and search
Hmm.
from 300 videos what is useful for me, for my plant, right? I need to know what I want
Yeah.
now for my aglaonema because it's raining outside and how much I water because it's turning yellow. And that's my problem. So we're trying to figure out that if we
Hmm.
can have more personalized things. So we've been trying. So we were trying our hands through Big AI, through Line Chat. So a lot of these softwares is what we are right now
Hmm.
experimenting on. Of course,
Right.
because our focus is only right now on WhatsApp. So we're looking at somebody who has
Hmm.
really worked and know things around WhatsApp and not the entire CRM right now, because we don't know
Hmm.
will a
Right.
WhatsApp, will a email or a
Hmm.
will email survive or not? Right? In our company, we're almost off emails now.
Hmm.
For me, my email has one
Sure.
lakh 25,348 emails pending because it gets spammed across.
Hmm.
Uh,
Is it cheap?
and we
It's
are
one of the
getting,
relatively cheap channels to.
yes, there are already so many other relevant channels on Gather, on different other
Hmm.
Slack, where we are communicating as teams. WhatsApp is becoming an important tool between
Hmm.
us and our vendors from a community perspective. So we're using groups and community very,
Hmm.
very exhaustively between this communication thread. So we are realizing that we needed experts, somebody who knows WhatsApp, and we felt there will be no other mode of communication. I don't know, but that's what I feel, that from now on to the next 10 years, I don't foresee any other massive tool of communication coming outside of WhatsApp. So I don't see Hike or Telegram they wanted to do, but what WhatsApp has been able to do from different sets of audiences, from a 12-year-old to a 50-year-old, and how the ease of this they have been able to bring, we felt that our mode of this communication has to be WhatsApp, but it has to be personalized, of course. And we're still figuring out. We haven't yet cracked it completely. It's still in beta, so we're just doing this with the Delhi boxes and doing this QR and sending it across and trying to gather data that if Ankur is in Delhi, you bought a plant, you scanned it. How do I control your journey? And how do I make it very personalized? Right. So there are so many journeys which are building in basis on your knowledge levels, your weather patterns, your time slots, and then we are also seeing that can we build in an app where the AI comes in and so you can just talk, just like, I now talk to ChatGPT.
I was about to head there.
Yeah. Correct. So can I talk? So Ankur just talks to Annu AI or NG AI and says, hey, I bought this plant 2 months back. It's a bit rusty, I think. It's getting yellow. I don't know what to be doing. Can you help? And then suddenly somebody pops up saying, boss, these are the 3 things you need to do. Buy this, put this spray of nurturing green you bought on that day. This, you have to keep it outdoor for at least few hours and don't water it for the next 15 days and your baby will be all right. Don't worry. It happens as a plant parent and your baby will be all right. So can this pitch be given is what we are working right now. I don't know. That's if we are able to crack this, that's again will be something for us.
Sure. So, at some point, happy to brainstorm because I've seen some of these applications happen in different industries, So, fun fact is that there's a Gujarati who needs to travel to Japan. How does he get the right kind of messaging for him? And we solve this for a travel company in that lens, right? So, some of these things are very interesting problem statements, which will find parallels in very unlikely places, right? So I do resonate with your core data problem and it's worth investigating how to do this well. But I think I'm very excited about how this is shaping out. You mentioned this is a 26,000 crore category. 1,000 is already organized. And I'm assuming that it's growing at a fairly aggressive pace for you with all of this quick commerce action. So there's so many more new people who are even getting into the category, right? And getting into the category native with digital first experiences, right? The 17-year-olds have never been to a nursery. For them, the first plant buying experience of the plant rating space is actually originated on quick commerce and perhaps with a gift that they received from somebody they care about. So from there, if they're able to now do a better job at taking care of this, and then they become evangelists and champions themselves, that they start forwarding gifts. Because when I receive this as a return gift, I'm quite convinced it's a great idea for the next birthday. I will give this as a return gift. And then suddenly expands the category quite substantially. So, well, I think very interesting stage and very appreciative that you're there and been at it despite 2 near-death experiences that you described about. So very, very exciting times to be in. I do wish you all the best for your journey going forward, Annu. Be happy to talk again once you've cracked some of these problems around how do you really personalize communication to drive amazing lifetime value. Thank you so much for doing this, Annu. Wonderful having spoken to you.
Same here. I love this conversation and I look forward to take guidance from you and the team on how do we personalize this? How do I solve this big problem for us? I'm sure we will again talk where at some point we should have been able to crack this. And I love to talk about how is it happening and what are people talking about.
So, well, trying to build a brand in the space where it's full of mis-selling, a typical nursery owner would apparently sell you a plant which is an indoor plant as an outdoor plant, so it dies in a month and then you get to buy another plant from him. In that world, to come back with a saying that you will actually help people maintain their plants better so the plants don't wither away and die is a bold move. But it does translate into customers which could potentially be very, very high value because Once you get the hang of gardening, you're going to be very, very glued to it. Here's wishing nurturing gains all the best. This is your host Ankur, and this was an interesting conversation. If you liked what you heard, do hear more of us across our podcast channels, be it Spotify, Apple, Google, or our YouTube channel. If you do like to hear more of this or have suggestions of how we would do better, do send us a note on sormpodcast@webengage.com. Thank you so much for the listen.